It's time for Around the Ozarks Sports Scene, brought to you by Colton Steakhouse and Thompson Sales. Here's your host, Scott Purrier.
Welcome in to another edition of Around the Ozarks Sports Scene. I am Scott Purrier. As always, a big thank you to you for tuning in this week, and big thank you to our sponsors, Thompson Sales, Colton Steakhouse. We'll talk more about both later on. Our special guest today is Drury Vice President and Director of Athletics, Nyla Milleson. Always great to catch up with Nyla and find out what's going on over at Drury. Nyla, thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me, Scott.
True or false? I know you have a long history with Thompsons, longtime friends and supporters. Did Emily Thompson Givens give you free vehicles to allow her not to fully run in cross country that season?
Well, there might have been some conversation. No.
And you know what? I'm looking at my phone. I'm actually, speaking of the devil, getting a call from Emily Givens before this even comes out. So that's a sign from God that something's going on here. But that's one of the best stories of all time. She was running cross country, but she actually had her own little shortcut, right, to not maybe do the whole course.
Emily had her own ideas of many things that she did. But what a great first year in Springfield, Missouri, to have Emily Thompson as a senior anchoring your Glendale Lady Falcons.
Absolutely. And of course, her parents, great supporters, Uncle Lynn, and still to this day, you got Thompsons everywhere over there in soccer and everything, don't you?
There is. In fact, we just signed another one to the men's team this week. So what a great family. And you're correct, George and Lenny and Mama Lynn and the whole crew, just great people.
They are. Well, we wanted to kind of catch up, kind of a State of the Union address on Drury Athletics, what's going on with the dreaded, as a former SID, crossover season, where the fall sports are finishing, the winter sports are starting up, and you've got sports everywhere going on. But that's a good problem to have this time of year when teams from the fall are still playing. And I think we'll start off with women's soccer again. They win a GOEC tournament. They're back in the NCAA tournament. Got to be pretty proud of them 2 years in a row now, back to the big dance.
Justin's just done a great job, a great group of young women that I think more than anything, they believe, and they believe they can win and believe what they can do. I felt really good the other day when we got to penalty kicks. Not that I don't kind of wish we'd have taken care of it in regulation, but when we got to penalty kicks and you got Katie Fitzler in the goal there, I felt pretty good that probably good things were going to happen. So 2 days in a row, basically winning on penalty kicks and an opportunity to advance again in the NCAA tournament and get to go to St. Louis for the first 2 rounds. And you never know what might happen, but kudos to Justin and his crew for another great year.
Is there anything more exciting than the soccer shootout penalty kick? I know soccer coaches hate it. Ned and I were talking this morning about, I'm not a big fan of 8 ties in a season. I get why they do it, because they used to play them out, 2 overtimes and then you had a tie. But that shootout, that's pretty nail biting stuff, isn't it?
It is. And I can say from a long Sunday afternoon, particularly a cold Sunday afternoon, kind of glad they got rid of the overtimes and it just went to a tie. But I can also say the coach in me, as I walk off the field on a Friday night or a Sunday afternoon, whatever it might be, that just doesn't really seem right to end a game in a tie.
It killed you. As competitive as you are, you'd be like, why are we here? What have we done? Right?
Yeah, let's finish this thing. So
exactly, yeah.
Well, you're a fan of the penalty kicks the last 2 games.
Yes, it's a good theory when it works out well, right? Or a good format, yeah. Wanted to ask you, you're in the middle of year 4 now as Director of Athletics at Drury. Of course, a very long and illustrious history of coaching there. Came back to run the department. Are you fully settled in now? I mean, basically in your role, you're a fireman. I mean, you're putting out fires and you're a babysitter at times too. And you're a purse string controller, all that. Have you adapted to this new life of yours?
You act like you've been here before. Fireman is probably a good word. In fact, I had a student that's working on a year or semester project, and he just sent me some questions today, and I was just working on them in the last hour or so. And one of his first ones is, what does your daily job and tasks look like? And you kind of sit there and go, well, part of it depends on what day it is. And you do spend a lot of time carrying the fire hose around, but most days in a good way. It's managing 35 sports, and we're about right at 740 student athletes, because as you're well aware, we have the non-NCAA is also in our athletic department. So a lot of coaches, a lot of personalities, a lot of issues, but as we just talked about, a lot of really, really good things too. So every day is a little different. I'm not going to lie, there's days that I really do miss the coaching, but then when I get to go home most nights and sleep pretty well, or I don't have to go on the road to recruit, or all of those other things that coaching brought with it, I'm pretty much loving what I'm doing.
What's something that you didn't fully anticipate or have a greater understanding about in the AD role at the small private college like Drury is, and others around you face, that maybe you have gained a greater appreciation for that challenge and what you need to do?
I think I was always pretty good at trying to keep big picture in mind, even when I was a coach. Although I know there was times that, lack of a better word, you get selfish to your own program and to your own needs. That's just human nature, and the competitiveness of why coaches get into the profession, that we chose. But I would say that was probably the biggest challenge at first, was that you have to have the university hat on. You have to have the big picture, what's best for the department, what's best for the university. And even as much as you love a coach that walks in your door and they want or need or whatever it might be, sometimes the answer has to be no. And I try not to start with a no, but maybe are there some other options, or is there a way to do something maybe a little bit different? But I would say that was probably my biggest adjustment. It's about big picture. It's not about women's basketball or men's soccer or tennis or whoever else might walk through the door. I would say the other thing, that it is a juggling act. It goes from maybe mentoring a coach 1 minute to an angry coach come in the next minute with something, or believe it or not, a parent email, or the financial issues that's facing higher education right now, some of those challenges. So the wide range of emotions and the wide range of what your daily task can really sometimes suck the wind out of you a little bit.
And when I left there about 10 years ago, I think we had 17 or 18 sports, and now you've got double that. That's the survival of a small private college now, and it with the non-NCAA sports. And I mean, you got people like Rick Emmett, or your bass fishing. It's going out and finding kids that can fish left and right to fill a roster. That's how you do it in 2025, is it not?
It is. Athletics across the country are being used. I use the word used, but utilized to help drive enrollment. And a lot of it is on the non-NCAA side, but our NCAA rosters are big, and bigger than what you or men's basketball is carrying 18 kids. Yeah. And you certainly don't need 18 kids on a basketball team. Or you mentioned Rick Emmett, what a great job he does. But he's got, I think, 27 bass fishermen that all 27 can't go and do. So managing the end of your roster, the bottom of your roster, some sports are easier than others because you can maybe find a way to get them a little bit of playing time. But, most of them are coming here to practice and obviously get a great education on the other side of campus. But, many of them are coming here to be able to have the experience of being a student athlete and, wear the uniform. And that's difficult to manage, not only from a a playing time, but a financial and means more fundraised money to be able to take these student athletes and give them, try to give them as good as experience as you can, even if they're not playing. So a lot of challenges come with that, but I can also tell you there's some satisfaction, I guess, if you will, that we certainly are doing our part to help Drury University do what we need to do, because there's so many things about Drury. Obviously, I came back. You spent a lot of time here. It's a great place, a great education with great people. So for us to be able to really help in the manner that we can in order to continue to financially be a big part of the university is also rewarding.
I think you and I are the same age, and we work about the same amount of our lives. My 11 years at Drury, I still tell people it was my favorite time period of my career, because things were hard and you worked a lot of hours. But if you just popped out of the office, walked in the gym, either on a practice day or game night, you saw why you were doing what you were doing, and those kids keep you younger, don't they?
Absolutely. And we've got some really good, I start to say really good young coaches. We have some really good older coaches too, but some really good, young coaches that are, I can remember, you want me to really age us, 40 years ago when I started my career, 35 years ago, those at that age, that the hunger and the want to learn and the want to be better. We've got those coaches. We've got some that are, maybe more to the end of their career, but still making a difference in student athletes' lives. And that's probably the one thing that I do miss a little bit, is the direct interaction with the student athletes. While I have some and know quite a few, I guess, if you'd say, for 740 of them. But I do miss that direct interaction that you have as a coach. But hopefully I'm making a difference and impacting in a little bit different way than I did, coaching.
For those listeners, when I left in 2016, I think we had about 450 athletes. So that's 300 additional athletes that, they have needs, they have wants, they have problems, they have things that ultimately may funnel up your way. And so it's a thankless job, and I'm sure it's one that people don't fully appreciate, but you've kind of accepted that comes with the territory now. And that's why you sit in that chair. And that's, I'm sure early on that had to be some long nights for you on that drive back to Hollister, wasn't it? How do I do this? What am I doing? And Barb Coward there in your office probably was a great shoulder to lean on for advice.
It is the balance some days, no different than so many other professions. And in the coaching world, you have to, kind of figure out what priorities are. And, you hit it on the head that all 740 student athletes, they have needs, they have wants, they want to be a part. It may look a little bit different for some, but I use the example of, Aaron Kinnaman in the training room is probably one of the most difficult places to be able to continue to balance and juggle the sheer number, because they need in the training room. Obviously, we have more injuries with more student athletes, so more rehab, all of those type of things, more practices. I know since you've been here, however many years ago, you said you've been gone 10, I think, at one point in time, trainers traveled with most every sport. Our trainers can't be away. We travel a little bit, but they can't be away like they used to be, because you might have 2 teams on the road or 3 teams that might be 60, 70 student athletes, but then subtract that, what do you still have at home that you've got to take care of? So, the training room has probably been one of the biggest things that we've had to try to make some adjustments. And I'm a little biased, but I think Aaron Kinnaman's one of the best in how she organizes and structures her staff in order to serve the needs of our student athletes.
Absolutely. She'll always be rosy to me for her, when I started here, and one of my best friends to rely on. And I knew everything going on campus, because if you need to hear it, just go ask Aaron,
100%. You want to know what's going on with your team or in this department, go to the trainers because, and again, it's not that they get snoopy with what it is, but it's just a place where a lot hang out and conversations are had.
You got 20 kids laying on training tables talking to each other. You can't not hear some things there. And I'm sure there's things you don't want to hear too. But, you mentioned that this time of year, with the basketball coaching blood in you, just a tremendous run at Drury and Missouri State, then George Mason. I kind of wonder what would Nyla Milleson be like right now if she were coaching in the middle of NIL and the transfer portal? Because I'm sure that's probably a part you don't miss because you never had to experience that, right?
Well, all of that was just on the horizon as I got out. So, to me, it's changed the landscape, and I get asked all the time, how does it affect the Division II? And I don't know that we are as directly affected on a day-to-day basis as obviously they are at the Division I level and, and the big time level. But there's certainly trickle down effects. And I use this example all the time that at one point in time, before they changed the rules and obviously the transfer portal as the vehicle to be able to transfer, schools like Drury, and I was very much the recipient of it, we were able to get that big time Division I transfer because they didn't have to sit. Yeah. So whether they, a lot of times maybe only a 1 year in an Afton Hill who wanted to come and play for 1 year after she played at Wake Forest, or, and Becky Flippin might be a little bit different because she was coming home. But she also was able to come home and didn't have to sit. And now there's so much lateral, or maybe even more importantly, transferring up. And you just didn't see that 10, 15 years ago. There was, there was a transfer down. So to be able to really, really get that big time impact player that Division IIs used to be able to get, now you're concerned about your best player transferring up, whether it be for NIL money or just to be able to play at at a bigger level, whatever variable they might want to use to transfer. So I think that's the biggest thing. I also get asked a lot about NIL, and I'm very honest and transparent with. I just spoke with a group the other day, and some of them were our student athletes that certainly not against NIL, and we have a little bit at Drury, but I think the thing that you worry about at a small Division II institution, we do a great job of fundraising, and we have great donors and great supporters of people that open their checkbooks for us. And Champions Challenge, we raised almost $470,000 in a matter of a week. So it's there, and our coaches do a great job. Our donors are very supportive, but you start looking for NIL money. Is there enough donors? Is there enough money to still be able to support what we need to do, just to put student athletes, on trips and those sort of things, and be able to support the NIL. And that's probably one of the things that is a little stressful, maybe sometimes sitting in my chair, because you don't want to take away NIL opportunities for coaches and for student athletes. But again, the big picture of it, we've got to continue to support our entire athletic program. So I think that's one of the reasons it probably hasn't really affected Division II a whole lot, because I'm guessing we're not in a whole lot different situation than, many other smaller Division II universities. But interesting to watch across the country and watch how different places maneuver and manage it, and watching the success and maybe a little bit sometimes the failures of what different people do.
Ned and I were talking on the morning show about can you imagine if there'd been NIL in the portal when Jackie Stiles played over at Missouri State, and what, even coming out of high school, what that'd have been like. And I just think back to your run. Can you imagine the people that would be coming after Kara Rutledge, Amanda Newton, Hope Hunt, Jill Curry, Molly Carter, Molly Miller? you'd have been fighting them off then if that was in today's world, right?
100%,
Yeah.
100%. I know you've heard this saying over the last few years, but to have to continue to recruit your own kids.
Yeah.
And you hope that you just give them a good enough experience, and they love their teammates, and they love playing in O'Reilly and all of the other things that go along with Drury University, that they want to finish their career here. But you also can't fault these kids if they're able to make some money and go do some other things. So it's tough. But I guess to your long answer to your short question is, those are the things that I'm glad that I don't have to deal with. I guess deal in a different way, but I don't have to deal with them on a day-to-day basis as a coach.
And I think the poster child for that was probably Lacey Stokes, from Missouri Southern, 2 years to what she did for the Lady Bears there. And, I'm sure Beth Cunningham helps that Cayman Beckemeyer's numbers unlisted, but
Yep.
there are some kids though that are just local kids, and they're there, their lifelong dream was to play there, that helps make the decision a lot easier to stay put too, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So let's talk about your lady. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Coaches just really, I don't think a Division I coach 10, 15 years ago would have really thought about taking a Division II kid. It just was not common to transfer up. Everything was down. So, or lateral. So, Lacey Stokes is a perfect example. What a great career and that she had, and to be able to stay home and do it.
Yeah. Let's talk about your basketball, Lady Panthers and Panthers. Lady Panthers have had 2 tough road tests as we tape this on Tuesday. Played a morning game today up in Saginaw Valley. Apparently ran into a buzzsaw at Ferris State. Talk about what you see for Casey Bailey and her squad this winter.
She knew she was a chance of going to Michigan and going 0-2 with a young squad. I still like the pieces, and I know she does too, that she has. But you lose Anna Hitt, you lose Caitlin Daniels, you lose Micaiah Brooks. You 6 seniors last year. You knew there was going to be some growing pains. A good nucleus back, but just playing such different roles. Sarah Mindel was great today. I think she's just going to continue to get better. Ree Gibbons had a good game. She's going to have to stay out of foul trouble because she's going to have to stay on the floor. So knew that there was going to be some growing pains. I have not talked to Casey since. I talked to her after the first game, but not today. My guess is given a 10-point lead up and having sounds like I'm a coach here, an absolute horrendous second quarter. I'm sure she's going to have some words about that. But they also showed some gut and some grit fighting back. And again, I like the pieces. I think it's just going to take a little bit of time to find who's going to be that step-up person, who's going to be that go-to, who's going to really be that vocal leader. But I think they'll probably get it figured out.
Well, the GOEC does too. They're the favorite once again to win the league, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. You got your Kids Day game on Thursday morning, 11 o'clock at the Highland Dairy Kids Day. This is probably about year 10, 12, maybe. It's been going on for a while. That's a logistical challenge, isn't it?
It is, but however long it has been, we didn't do it when I was here. That was not a thing. But Barb did it for a number of years, and then obviously since we've been back, so she's got a pretty good handle on it. But probably our biggest challenge is our men play tomorrow night, so we're going to have to wait to get everything in line and the signs and everything until after the men's game, which is okay. But I think we're expecting about 2,800 in here on Thursday morning, and probably the biggest logistics is the buses and getting them out after the game because they've got to get back to school and those sort of things. But what a neat environment and atmosphere. And we talked before we came on. Saginaw, I think they had 300 or 400 at their kids game today, and maybe it's 300 or 400 more than they normally get on a night game. But There's no question that our women's basketball staff, and they do the bulk of the work before that day, that they take great pride in making sure that we fill the place.
A lot of future campers potentially, and a lot of future parents and kids as fans in those groups too. So, Chris Foster's Panthers off to a good start, 2 road wins or neutral floor wins over the weekend. As you mentioned, they play tomorrow night. This comes out after that game, but looks like he's got a good nucleus to get going with this season.
I was really pleased with the 2-0 start, and really hard to listen on the radio as a former coach. And I think they were down 18-4 or something. And I know he was pulling his hair out on the bench, and I was sitting on my couch at home. But again, showed a lot of grit. Had some kids really step up. I think they've got some newcomers that are certainly going to make a difference. And Zach Howell can shoot it when he gets off the bus or steps into the gym, whichever the case might be. Colin Hardrick, I love him at the point guard. So they've got also some really good young men, and I know are working very hard, and I think are in for a great season as well.
Got some Thanksgiving games next week. That's a Tuesday, Wednesday for your Thanksgiving Classic, right?
It is. We've got it's 4 teams on both sides, so we'll have a women's game and a men's game in early afternoon, and then the Lady Panthers will tip at 5:45, and the men about 7:45, both on Tuesday and Wednesday night. So should be some really good games, and I know looking forward to a stretch of some home games.
And then Hall of Fame game is January 10. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah. Deja Bernard and Haley Dieselkamp among the ones going in. Excited about bringing those two and all the great former Drury stars back home.
It really is. It's going to be a great day, and obviously highlighted with Haley and Deja in their first year of being able to go into the Hall of Fame. And we weren't sure we were going to be able to get either of them or even both of them at the same time back, but Arizona State happens to play in I think at TCU in Dallas that day, so they're going to be able to fly her in and out. I think they play on Sunday. And then Haley at Southern Indiana, Coach Stein's going to be able to work for her to be back. And I would be remiss if I didn't also mention Jared Smith going in, with his tremendous coaching career as our tennis coach. So, and then Caleb Cole, Brooke Antonin, Bailey Nunn are, I don't think I missed anybody. Are our other ones going in. So a good mix of student athletes and coaches, and always a fun day.
Absolutely. The Hall of Fame, of course, that's a ceremony in the morning and then the game in the afternoon, correct again?
Yes. Doors are open at 10. It's over in the Judy Thompson Executive Center. It starts at about 10:30 and hope to be done by a little bit before 1 so we can get over and then we'll recognize the 2025 class in between games. Just if you've looked at our schedule, it's not a very good home schedule this year. So there just wasn't any other home games. So we had to push it into January. It's usually in the early December ceremony, but didn't work out this year. So be right after the first of the year, and always a good day.
We had Molly Miller on our radio show this morning and talking about, she reaches 300 wins, and you had her for 3 of the 4 years.
Yep.
Did you see that? I mean, she didn't even go into coaching right out of college. Did you see that in Molly Miller to be a coach that's currently top 5 winning percentage among active Division I coaches? What did you see in her at that age that you knew if she tried this, she'd be Molly Miller?
I wasn't sure that she would ever go into coaching, but I can tell you, and I've said this many, many, many a time over my career, I had some really, really good players and really good kids, all of the things that you can say about, players and student athletes. But there was nobody that could hold a candle to her competitiveness and her desire to win. just, I think she would step on your toe and knock your head and whatever else it took in order to win a ball game.
Was
You know,
that your team at Missouri S&T? Because that story
no,
came up this.
it was the next year, but
Okay.
I remember listening to that game on the
Yeah.
radio. We were on the bus traveling someplace when I was at Missouri State, and I remember listening to that game, and nothing ever surprised me. And I've heard the story also many a time that there was a couple of girls, and maybe including a former teammate that was standing at half court, maybe laughing or making fun or something. And 21 seconds left.
27, and they came back from 9 down, and I was about 5 feet away, and you could just see smoke coming out of Molly's ears. Because there was still time on the clock. Molly Miller's not done at that point.
That would be correct.
Yeah.
And she practiced like that too.
Yeah.
Which there were probably days that some teammates didn't really like that, but you also knew that come game day, she was going to have your back, and she was going to do what it took was necessary. But what a great career she's had, and what she's doing at Arizona State. I've been able to watch a little bit, and you can never count her and her team out. They're going to battle, and they're going to play hard, and it'll be fun to watch as they go into Big 12 play.
Any more new sports on the horizon, or are you done at 35, or you got something in the tank?
I think we're probably done. We just need to maintain our rosters that we have, and pickleball was our latest, and I'm sure you've been over here and seen our Panther pad.
Yeah.
Middle of campus, what a difference that's made in the middle of campus. So we just need to do our thing, and coaches they wear a lot of different hats, and some days coaching is at the bottom of the role responsibility between recruiting and fundraising and being a psychologist and all of the other things that go along with being a coach. But I love this group of coaches and what they've bought in, and they do what's asked of them, and Drury's a great place to be.
Well, everything from bass fishing to shotgun to triathlon to hockey, rugby. Among those, I know you can't play favorites, but what are one or two of them that you've kind of said, hey, that's pretty cool, and have been to see and maybe grown attached to a little bit?
I don't know that I really have. I would like to go bass fishing sometime. And Rick Emmett does it the right way. Gosh,
Yeah.
and fundraises, and it's been fun to really get to know him and watch their success. A date of note might be our Drury ice hockey team plays Missouri State. I believe it's on the 5th and 6th of December. I think they're ranked number 7 in the country right now, and headed to Chicago this weekend for a big showcase that I think they play 2 or 3 top 10 teams. So that'll be a really good test. I have gone out and watched shotgun. That one's fun. Our triathlon team just finished 3rd in the NCAA. So, every team has their own little niche and their own things that they do. And I went to rugby a couple weekends ago, and I know nothing about what they're doing, but fun to watch. And Brian Bevel and Katie Scott, they've got a neat little, I guess you call it the pitch, out on in wherever, West Springfield, I guess. So that's fun, but just trying to do what I can to support and get to as many events as possible.
And of course, swimming will be right back where they usually are, right? Doing their thing under Brian Reynolds. And I know that you've figured out how much fun those are to watch at the Nationals. And yeah.
That was one of my favorite experiences ever.
Yeah.
Was being on the deck last March. So yeah, they actually left for Dallas this morning. They're swimming at SMU this weekend. So a lot of really good things, amongst the challenges. And I tell the coaches all the time, just like I used to tell my teams, we always want more. We always need more. We always think that, things maybe aren't very good, but it doesn't take very long to look around, and we've got some really, really good things. And And as I mentioned earlier, great supporters, great donors. I love our president and Dr. Frederick and the support that he gives and the leadership to our entire university, but very much an athletic supporter. And he was a faculty athletic rep for about 10 years. So he gets our world, which that's really important sitting in my seat, that you have a president that understands not only the importance of athletics, but what we bring to the university.
Absolutely. And you look around at our successful high schools, the ones that do athletics well, and you look and see who that superintendent is or who that principal was. And a lot of times it's a former coach or a former athlete that played, and coached a little bit. They get it. And that's really, that helps, doesn't it?
It does. It does, because we do. We live in kind of our own little world, and very different from a lot of the rest of the campus, and not better, not worse, not anything else, just different. But I am truly a believer, obviously being in this profession for all of my career, that athletics can be a front door to the university, and I think Drury is really a special place for that. And we've been so lucky and had the success and are well known in the area, and had lucky leaders in Bruce Harger and Edsel Matthews and Mark Fisher and so many others that have allowed this program to be one of the best in the country.
Before we let you go, kind of a state of the union of the GLVC. I used to feel sorry for the guy who had to do the graphics because he had to be taking schools on and off so many times to change the map of the league with teams coming and going. But it looks like things have kind of stabilized. The one thing I'm having a lot of trouble adapting to is Missouri S&T being good in men's basketball. I don't know how that happened, because that was the Washington Generals against the Globetrotters for many years when they played Drury. Now they're the favorite in the league. What's going on in this world?
You get the right person at the front of the ship, and I'm going to start with Melissa Ringenhausen, who's their athletic director. She's done a great job, and I don't know their men's basketball coach, but obviously have the right guy running their program. And as you well know, in the recruiting world, it just takes that one or two right kid to kind of jumpstart you and make a difference. But I would agree with you on the conference. I think we're at a great place. We've got great leadership within the conference, and I think we do our championships right. We try to create the best student athlete experience. So a lot of really, really good things. And still an era where collegiate athletics is certainly in flux day to day. But I think there's a lot of good things and a lot of stability in our conference.
Very good. Well, Nyla, appreciate your time. Always love catching up. We'll do it again in the spring and talk about your spring sports. In the meantime, go find some earplugs, because you got 2,800 kids coming over Thursday morning for I think that ought to be brought to you by Tylenol or Excedrin, for the.
Might be a good one, but I can also pull rank, and if I need to step out or whatever,
Yeah.
I'll just put people in charge.
That's a time when the training room is your friend then too. Yeah. So Nyla, thanks, and best luck to you this winter. Okay.
Yeah. Thanks, Scott.
You betcha. Nyla Milleson, Vice President, Director of Athletics at Drury University. Again, worked with her many years at the start of my Drury career. Just loved every minute of it. Just a class act, and is always going to do things the right way. Again, big thank you to our sponsors, Thompson Sales and Colton Steakhouse. They're really just right down the road from each other. Thompson Sales located at 1555 East Independence in South Springfield. They've been in business since 1919. Thompson Sales is your home for the largest selection of Cadillac, Buick, and GMC cars and trucks, new and used. And they got a great service department to take care of your vehicle after the sale from start to finish until you're ready to trade back again with the Thompson boys. I've been doing that since I arrived in Springfield back in the early 80s, and I keep going back because they treat you like family at Thompson's. Thompson boys have been dealing since 1919. Go see them, buy a new vehicle, and then drive down the road to Colton Steakhouse. They're at 2020 East Independence, home for great steaks, burgers, barbecue, salads, you name it. They've got at Colton Steakhouse those wonderful hot rolls and the fresh peanuts in the bucket too you get at the start. I highly recommend the Montana burger. if there's a better burger in Springfield, I've yet to taste it. So go see Thomas Orr and his good folks at Colton Steakhouse. And again, big thank you to them for their sponsorship. Reminder that you can catch us in the morning on the new 102.1 FM, the One, all sports station. Ned Reynolds, myself, and Art Haynes are on from 7 to 9, Monday through Friday. You'll get a lot more of this, some of the same guests, and we love talking sports. So if you love sports, tune in the mornings. Part of the Midwest Family Marketing family of stations. Very happy to be a part of that and really enjoying that time. That's going to do it for this week's edition. We'll see you next week on Around the Ozarks Sports Scene.